talk about my 4 years in office as governor, because I was silenced because of the MSNBC thing. I said, I'd really like to be able to talk about the things that I experienced in the 4 years of what happened. How many here have read my book? And don't feel bad if you haven't. Well, what I want to get to is this: did you know that, and I can only assume Minnesota is not the exception, did you know the CIA is implanted in your state government?
No.
However,
Well, I'll explain. First of all, the CIA mission statement says they're not to be operational within the U.S. So they're violating their mission statement. Well, in Minnesota, only the governor and the chief of staff are aware of it. That there's an implanted CIA person in Minnesota government at a level to where he doesn't come and go with elections. It's a permanent position. Why? Why do they violate their own mission statement? And I can only assume Arizona. I don't know if you have one, but I don't believe Minnesota is the exception.
Did you know who it was in Minnesota?
Yes.
And what was the position in Minnesota?
The position was at a deputy level in one of the... You know, I won't go far enough to say, I won't say names because I'm not going to get Valerie Plain.
Was it an agency type position?
Well, it's an upper level management position.
Okay.
That's permanent. In fact, when this person retired, I was then introduced to the new one. They then recruited a new one and had that person implanted in Minnesota government. If you're also not aware, 1 month after I took office, I was requested to the basement of the Capitol where I was interrogated by 23 members of the Central Intelligence Agency, and I was the governor. I went, because being a former military, you kind of feel obligated. You don't know what it's really about. I walked into the room, and they put me in a chair at the end, and they were in a big half circle around me, and they interrogated me, questioned me. And having met me, you'll realize how I handled it. I walked in and I sat down. I said, well, first of all, I said, before you ask me any questions, I have a few for you. I said, what are you here for? I said, your mission statement says you're not to be operational in the United States of America. Why are you here questioning me? And why are you violating your mission statement? Well, I couldn't get an answer. Him, hawed, that's the way they are. I second said, I want to go around the room. I want you to tell me your name and what you do. And I'm the governor. Half of them wouldn't, half would. I don't know if they're telling the truth when they said to me.
What did they question you about it? What was the purpose?
Well, okay, when it was over, I went home very puzzled that day. And when I got home, I thought, who can I call that could clear this up for me? And one name came to me, and his name is Richard Marcinko. Does anyone know who Richard Marcinko is? Dick Marcinko writes the Road Warrior books. He's a 32-year member of the Navy SEALs. He created SEAL Team 6, the anti-terrorist unit. He created Red Cell. And Dick worked very closely and many times with the CIA, whom we in the SEALs lovingly call Christians in Action. That's our slang term for the CIA. We call them Christians in Action. Hey, we're SEALs, come on. We're not your normal run-of-the-mill.
don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know any better. And so I called Dick, and I said, Dick, I just had a meeting, 23 members of the CIA in the bowels of the Capitol. I said, and I can't figure out why they wanted to talk to me. And I said, you're the guy who I probably would have calling because you would have the most intel to me. And Marcinko started laughing on the other end, and I said, he said, well, I've been out of it now a few years. He said, I can't directly tell you why, but he said, I have a pretty good idea why. I said, tell me, you're like leap years ahead of me. He said, they didn't see you coming. And what's the CIA's job? Their job is to do intelligence reports to let the government know trends and things like that so that the high echelon government people can make, hopefully, good decisions based upon intelligence. And when I thought back to the questioning, it was all about how I got elected. He was right on. They wanted to know what I did. I don't know, maybe to stop it from ever happening again. Who knows?
Peter,
I don't know. But that may be it. I don't know. But that was what the essence of the questions were all about, how I got elected, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. And like Dick said, they didn't see you coming. And he said, they want to know now, is there going to be 6 more independent governors on the horizon? What is going on here in the U.S.? Then I'll tell you the best story, which is in the book also. I'm ruining the book.
Which is available for sale tonight.
Yes.
When I went
It's
to
well
Cuba,
worth it.
when I went to Cuba over my country's objections, so the administration's objections, I was there for 5 days, and Castro gave me 3 of his personal bodyguards and an interpreter. I had my 2 regular bodyguards, and ironically, Castro allowed my guys to carry their guns the entire time they were in Cuba, except when I met with him. Then they had to turn their, which I don't blame, they had to turn their guns over to the Cubans, and then as soon as Castro was gone, the guns were immediately returned. But I can understand that, because after all, we have attempted to assassinate him on a few occasions. Wouldn't that be called terrorism? If your intelligence community goes out and attempts to assassinate another political leader, I would classify that terrorism.
Of the United States.
Well, I understand that. That's part of the old hypocrisy and double standard that we have here. But on all trade missions, and I probably went on a half a dozen. I went to China, I went to Canada, I went to Mexico, I went to Cuba and Germany. I really enjoyed doing them. They're the real fun part about being governor, is to go over there and attempt to create more trade and economy for your state. And, what's a world economy today? Let's face it.